I'm out here right now in my training compound, getting some training in, getting a workout in, and also filming some videos for my new solo training guide over at colliecenter.com. And I wanted to jump on here and give you guys a more detailed instruction on our striking, on our slashes here. So go ahead and grab a training bolo. This is really good for kind of having that good visual and feel of where the blade edge is at. So that way when you're striking, you can really focus on good technical precision. If you don't have a training blade, go ahead and use a rattan stick or whatever you have just kind of lying around. But if you do have one, make sure to take advantage of it. If you don't have one, then try at some point to get a hold of one. Doesn't matter if it's steel, aluminum, wood, composite. It's just about understanding where that blade edge is at and just getting a blade edge. All right, let's take a look here at these basic slashes. We're gonna take a look at the angle 1, which is starting from our right shoulder, and we're slashing this downward diagonal. You're gonna notice on the angle 1 that my wrist has to be canted in order to present that blade edge forward. So I want my second knuckle line. If you're training this with a stick, then you want your second knuckle line to be going forward, because as you can see, the second knuckle line is pretty much in line with the blade edge. All right, if I have this thing straight, you're gonna notice that it's like I'm striking way over there to the left somewhere. So on the angle 1 here, we want to strike on a canted wrist. When we transfer this over to our angle 2, which starts from the left shoulder downward diagonal, you're gonna notice that the wrist is straight now. If I cant it out, like I did on the forehand strike, my strike is going somewhere out to the right. That's not good because the opponent is in front of us. So I wanna make sure it's straight. Also, we wanna provide good wrist positions. So when I'm striking forward, this is actually a very solid wrist position that can handle the strain of the impact of the strike. Not this way, because it starts to bend the wrist forward, which is not good for the wrist. Same thing when we're striking out here. If I'm striking too far here, that means now I'm not really concerned with this bending, but when we make impact, we're having this back and then pushed back into the wrist, which is not really good. So we want to make sure we have good structured straight wrist on the backhand. This is a universal kind of principle that goes across all the different slashes. All of the forehand slashes, you're going to notice that the wrist is canted out, and all of the backhand slashes, you're going to notice that the wrist is straight. So let's go through all the different slashes and the angles here that we practice at Collie Center. So from here we have number 1, which is downward diagonal on the forehand. Number 2 is downward diagonal on the backhand. Number 3, I'm coming up. You're gonna see that the wrist is canted here, and I'm coming up, maintaining that cant of the wrist. And then number 4, my wrist is straight. You're gonna notice how it's straight, and I'm slashing upward diagonal there. Then we're gonna come across the horizontals. Horizontal forehand, you're gonna see how the wrist is canted again. It's not straight, because now I'm going kind of flat. It's canted to present that blade edge forward. On my backhand, it's straight again. It's not canted anymore. So you can see how that's a universal principle here. And then on my vertical strike, my wrist is pretty straight. It's a little bit canted on the forehand. If I was to do a backhand, sometimes it does cant here, so that rule kind of gets broken a little bit, but that's because we got to turn that blade over and get that thing into the center line. And none of the pressure is coming back into the forearm when we're making impact on this vertical, because all that striking force is going down into the ground. Let's take a look at that again. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, hit the horizontal, and then slash that vertical. Canted on the forehand, straight wrist on the backhands, canted again, straight again, look at the cant, no more cant, and then strike that vertical. The other thing I want to really point out is when we are striking with the blade and even with the stick, we want to be pulling our slashes, not pushing our slashes. The energy of the strike is still going forward, right? So it's still got projection to it, but the energy is being pulled through the mechanics of the body. And I'm doing this by pulling through my lats. I'm pulling with my back muscles right here. All of my strikes, I pull it, 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 and I pull it. So the arm muscles aren't really doing much. They're just stabilizing the weapon. It's just keeping the weapon in a good structured position. But that's all my arm's doing. I'm not actually engaging my strike with my shoulder or anything like that. It's all coming from the lats, a nice slightly engaged core, abdomen, and you're using your torso to generate that torque, to generate the power, to generate the speed. And let's get a few reps in here and get a little bit of training in. All right, I hope that breakdown helps you out. Put it into practice, and you're gonna see the precision of your strikes and that coordination. You're gonna see that just shoot up and accelerate. And when you start bringing your strikes to some impact training, hitting some tire stacks, or when you're doing some sparring, you're gonna start noticing over time training the mechanics like this, that all of a sudden you're putting more power into your strikes and you're getting a faster recovery, and you're starting to deliver each strike faster and faster and faster. All the speed, all that torque, all that power, it comes from the torso. It comes from the back, the rotation, which is generated right out of your obliques and out of your lats and all that stuff. You got a good strong core. The back is supported by keeping a good strong posterior chain, and you have good alignment, good structural alignment, and good blade alignment on your strikes. Cool, I'll see you in the next video.